Natural disasters are some of the most powerful and unpredictable events in our world. From earthquakes that shake entire cities to volcanic eruptions that reshape landscapes, these events can leave lasting scars on the Earth and its inhabitants. Today, we're going to explore the top 5 most devastating natural disasters in history. Events that caused loss of life, destruction, and sometimes entire shifts in human history. The 2004 Indian Ocean Tsunami. On December 26, 2004, a natural disaster struck the shores of 14 countries in the Indian Ocean. The day began like any other, but it soon turned into a nightmare for millions. In a matter of hours, the world would witness the power of nature like never before. It started with an earthquake, one that measured a staggering 9.1 to 9.3 on the Richter scale. The epicenter was off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. The earthquake, one of the largest in recorded history, triggered a series of catastrophic events that led to one of the deadliest tsunamis ever. As the tectonic plates shifted beneath the seafloor, massive volumes of water were displaced, generating powerful waves that traveled across the Indian Ocean at speeds of up to 500 miles per hour. These waves didn't just break on distant shores, they would soon become a massive force of destruction. Within minutes of the earthquake, the first waves appeared. In some areas, they were as high as the earth. The massive waves sweeping away into the distance. A surge of water destroyed homes, buildings, infrastructure, and most tragically, countless lives. The scale of the devastation was overwhelming. Countries such as Indonesia, rescue teams from around the world arrived to help in the aftermath. Governments, international organizations, and ordinary citizens came together in a massive humanitarian effort. The 1556 Shaanxi earthquake, the year was 1556, during the reign of the Jiajing Emperor of the Ming Dynasty. Shaanxi, a province in central China, was home to a dense population. The landscape of the region, however, was unusual. Many of the people lived in cave dwellings carved into soft lush hillsides, a feature of the region's unique geography. These cave homes, or yaodong, were an efficient way of living in an area where timber and stone were scarce. On the morning of January 23, 1556, the region was rocked by a massive earthquake. The magnitude of the earthquake is estimated to have been between 8.0 and 8.3 on the Richter scale, making it one of the strongest earthquakes in history. The tremors were so intense that they rattled the very foundation of China's most ancient structures. Buildings, caves, and towns were torn apart, leaving a trail of destruction as far as 500 kilometers from the epicenter. In the wake of the earthquake, the death toll was staggering. Modern estimates suggest that anywhere between 830,000 to 1 million people lost their lives in the disaster. The damage was immense, with entire cities reduced to rubble. The majority of the victims were in the city of Huasien, which was completely destroyed. Beyond the initial destruction, the aftermath of the earthquake saw the spread of disease, famine, and social unrest. The destruction of farmland and irrigation systems led to food shortages, making recovery a long and difficult process. The 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic natural disasters in recorded history. A volcanic eruption that would change the course of history, claiming tens of thousands of lives and plunging the Earth into a year without summer. Mount Tambora, located on the island of Sumbawa in Indonesia, was a dormant volcano before 1815. For centuries, life around Tambora thrived, with villages nestled on its slopes, relying on the fertile soil the volcano provided. But all that would change when the volcano erupted in April of 1815. April 5, 1815, Mount Tambora began to rumble. At first, the signs of danger were subtle. Increased tremors, small eruptions, and ash plumes. But by April 10th, the volcano unleashed its full fury. In an explosion that lasted for several weeks, Mount Tambora erupted with unprecedented force. The eruption was so powerful that it's estimated to have released over 100 cubic kilometers of magma and ash into the atmosphere, making it the most powerful eruption ever recorded by humans. Entire villages were wiped out, and the island of Sumbawa was left in ruins. It's estimated that around 10,000 people perished on the island due to the eruption itself. But the immediate death toll was just the beginning. The ash cloud that spewed from Tambora reached the stratosphere, circling the globe. The atmospheric effects of the eruption would be felt worldwide, leading to what would later be called the Year Without a Summer. This phenomenon would trigger famine, economic instability, and social unrest across continents. The 1900 Great Galveston Hurricane in September of 1900, a catastrophic event struck the Gulf Coast of the United States, one that would change the course of history and leave behind a legacy of tragedy and resilience. This is the story of the Great Galveston Hurricane, the deadliest natural disaster in American history. Galveston was once one of the wealthiest cities in Texas. Known as the Queen of the Gulf, but despite its prosperity, Galveston was extremely vulnerable to hurricanes. On August 27, 1900, a tropical storm began to form in the Caribbean Sea. By the time it reached the Gulf of Mexico, it had intensified into a hurricane, one that would grow stronger by the day. Meteorology was still in its infancy, and the technology to track storms was limited. Although a few warnings had been issued, many were skeptical about the storm's severity. Local weather forecasters were unsure of its true strength. In fact, many believed Galveston was safe from hurricanes due to its island position, an unfortunate misconception. As a result, the city was unprepared when the storm began to turn its deadly eye toward them. On the night of September 8th, the Great Galveston Hurricane made landfall with winds reaching speeds of 145 miles per hour. It was a Category 4 hurricane. The storm surged over the island, bringing a wall of water that destroyed everything in its path. Buildings were flattened, homes washed away, and many of the city's streets became impassable rivers of debris. After the storm passed, Galveston was left to count its dead. It's estimated that between 6,000 and 12,000 people perished in the disaster, though the exact number will never be known. It remains the deadliest natural disaster in American history. The survivors, though devastated, began the long and difficult task of rebuilding their homes and their lives. The 1931 Yangtze River floods in China. Flowing through the heart of China, the Yangtze River stretches over 3,900 miles, winding its way from the Tibetan Plateau to the East China Sea. For centuries, it has been both a lifeline and a threat. The Yangtze River Basin, home to tens of millions of people, is China's economic heart. It's where major cities like Shanghai, Nanjing, and Wuhan are located. But its location also makes it highly vulnerable to natural disasters, especially floods. 1931 was a year of extremes. In the spring and summer, China experienced an unusual combination of events: excessive rainfall, snowmelt from the mountains, and several months of intense storms. These conditions led to the swelling of not just the Yangtze, but also other major rivers like the Yellow and Huai rivers. By July 1931, the inevitable happened. The Yangtze River, swollen beyond its banks, began to flood the surrounding countryside. What followed was a catastrophe that would claim millions of lives. Cities along the river were overwhelmed, and villages disappeared under the rising water. In some areas, the floodwaters reached as high as 10 meters. People were left stranded on rooftops, waiting for help that would never come. The impact of the 1931 Yangtze River floods was catastrophic. Estimates of the death toll vary, but it is widely believed that between 1 million and 4 million people perished in the disaster. The 1931 floods also had a profound impact on China's political landscape. The nationalist government under Chiang Kai-shek struggled to provide effective relief, and the Chinese Communist Party seized on the situation to gain support. The devastation contributed to social unrest, and people began to lose faith in their government's ability to protect them. From the towering waves of the Indian Ocean to the floods that ravaged China, these natural disasters serve as chilling reminders of the Earth's power and unpredictability. While we cannot control nature, we can learn from these tragedies and work toward better preparedness, stronger infrastructures, and, most importantly, a better understanding of the forces at play in our world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history's most devastating natural disasters. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts and any other natural disasters you think should be on the list in the comments below. Stay safe and keep learning.